Welcome to Brain Lady Speaks with Julie Anderson. Julie Brain Lady Anderson is considered to be one of the nation's top experts on the brain-personality connection. She has been inspiring her audiences to fire up their brains and ignite positive changes in their relationships. And now she is here to bring that knowledge to you. The information she shares will help those who hear it to accelerate their success in life and business through the discovery of their natural gifts and maximizing their brain power. When you learn to tap into the potential of your natural gifts and the power of the brain-mind connection, there is no limit to what you can accomplish. Today and every Wednesday on Brain Lady Speaks, you'll explore the latest findings to see how they have practical application in your life. And now, get ready to join Julie Anderson on the Brain Lady Speaks radio show. Take it away, Julie.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Julie Anderson here, aka Brain Lady Julie, here for another episode of the Brain Lady Speaks videocast / podcast. I'm excited to be here today, sharing with you a topic that I am passionate about. Obviously, if you follow me on any of the socials or you've read any of the blogs or any of that, you know that one of the things that I emphasize and I talk about a lot is the importance of brain health in your life. And I am a certified brain health professional through a prestigious clinic, and it is the foundation of when I work with clients. So what we're going to talk about today, now you be thinking before you click me off, I want you to understand that brain health is so important. It is foundational for every success in every part of your life. So a lot of times I get asked different questions about, why do you emphasize brain health so much? You're a business coach, you're an entrepreneur coach, you're a leadership trainer, a team trainer. You work with corporations to help them develop, psychological safety in their companies. Why do you talk about brain health so much? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today on the Brain Lady Speaks. So let's get to it. When we discuss the importance of brain health, the reason why I make this as the foundation, the reason why I became so connected and so passionate about brain health is because if your brain is not healthy, if your brain isn't firing correctly, then everything else in your life is going to be affected in a negative way. Let me give you an example. Let's say, one of the things that I emphasize all the time is so incredibly important to have a healthy brain and healthy brain function is good, high quality sleep. Like it's so important across the board. And we'll talk about the reasons why in a minute. But if you don't get good quality sleep, how do you feel in the morning? If you didn't sleep well, if you didn't get a volume of sleep that was good for you, how do you feel? How do you function in the morning? Well, you probably drag, right? You're fatigued. You're a little foggy in the brain. You reach for a couple extra cups of coffee or energy drinks throughout the day because you're tired, right? If you're tired, is your brain, now think about this, is your brain able to work at its peak? Can you think in your mind? Is your mind able to function at its peak? Of course it's not. Of course it's not. So if you're sleepy, if you're tired, you're going to have brain fog. If you have brain fog, your mind isn't going to work correctly. If your mind's not going to work correctly and you're not able to do calculations correctly at work, or you're not able to, get the processes done that you want to get done in the time period that you were hoping you could get them done in, or even a reasonable amount of time, what does that do to your mindset, right? What are some of the emotions that invokes in you? Most of the time, it's going to be negative ones. It's going to be, oh, I'm so frustrated. Why can't I get this done? Or, oh my goodness, I just can't think, right? This happens. I know you've experienced it. If you've experienced it, put it in the comments on our YouTube channel. But it happens, right? It's real. So if you don't get healthy sleep, your brain's not going to be healthy. Your mind's not going to be healthy, right? Your thoughts are not going to be healthy. You're not going to be able to think on tap or you're not going to be alert and processing at the speeds that you want to process. And that's going to lead to frustration and a whole host of negative emotions. Now, again, in addition to that, Your relationships are going to suffer. Why are they going to suffer? Because I don't know about you, but if I'm tired, I might just be a little bit cranky. Maybe just a little bit, right? Of course. If you're tired, you're a little grumpy. Everybody is. That's just normal. So if you're now, what happens when you're having interactions with other people, whether that's your significant other, your children, your parents, your workmates, what winds up happening is you're a little bit shorter, right? You're a little bit snappier. You're a little bit more irritated or easily irritated by things that other people say. I mean, just stop and think for a minute. How many times can you think of, or can you think of times, I should say, when maybe you overacted a little bit to something that somebody said around you, and it was because you were tired. You just were tired. So you're now your relationships are suffering. Now take it to the next step. Your career or your entrepreneurial business. Is it going to suffer if your brain's not healthy? If you don't have a good night's sleep, now you have the brain fog. Are you going to accomplish as much as you wanted to or you needed to at work? Are you going to be able to, pick up that phone and make those sales calls that you desperately need to make if you can't think correctly because you didn't get enough sleep? Chances are the answer is going to be no. So does your business suffer? Does your career suffer? Yeah, it does. All because you didn't get a good night's sleep. That's why when with Your Best Mind, my company, right, we always focus. These are our 4 pillars: brain health, mind health, relationship health, entrepreneur or business health, right? Your career, your business health. In that order, because it starts with the brain health. Now, the brain health and the mind health are very, very closely connected, right? It's a very important. If one's off, the other's off. So you can have a healthy brain. You may take care of your brain. You may get plenty of sleep and do everything you need for good brain health, but your mind isn't right. Maybe you're negative a lot, or you have a lot of negative self talk because of those, past trauma or whatever that may be. Then your brain's not really going to truly be completely healthy, even if you're eating healthy, exercising, drinking your water, hydrating and getting good sleep. Your mind can still be off. So, and then of course, if your brain's not healthy, your mind will almost always be off. So we want to, those, even though those are still the two that are very closely connected, we always want to start with the brain health. And this is why, as a business life coach, career coach, and team trainer, leadership trainer, I always start with that piece. You want your brain to be healthy. Brain health is the first pillar that we want to work on. So how do you do that? Why is that? So you already know why it's so important, but how do you do that? What are some very practical steps that you can take on a daily basis to improve your brain health? Well, I already started with one, and that's sleep. I often will get asked if there was any one thing as a brain health professional that you would tell people they need to do for their brain health. What's that one thing? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it what? Well, I talked about it. It's sleep. And the reason why is because if you're not getting enough sleep, if your sleep is poor sleep, the sleep that you're getting is poor sleep, are you going to have energy to exercise? No. Are you going to feel like eating correctly? Most likely not, because you're most likely going to be reaching for the things that are going to give you the instant energy, or the sugary substances, or the things that have a lot of preservatives in them, because you want the comfort food, right? Which isn't necessarily always brain healthy food. You're most likely going to forget to drink your water, to hydrate, because your mind's not going to be in the right place because you're not getting enough sleep. So I always feel and tell people that the most important, I really feel, is adequate sleep and high quality sleep. So it's not so much the hours of, although most individuals do not get as much sleep as they should. Most people, they just don't. They think, oh, well, I wake up, if I go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, I wake up at at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I'm just one of those people that I really only need 7 hours of sleep. That may not be the case, right? Or I only need 5 hours of sleep. I did that math wrong. Anyway, that may not be the case, right? It may be that there's something disturbing your sleep pattern, something messing with that rhythm, that natural rhythm that you should have, because multiple studies have shown that the accurate amount of sleep that you need is at minimum 7 hours of sleep, ultimately around 8 hours of sleep, right? So very few people can have a healthy brain, which means you're going to have healthy cognitive thought, a healthy brain, or I should say it supports healthy cognitive thought. You're not going to have a healthy brain unless you have that minimum, make that minimum mark. And you may have 9 to 10 hours of sleep at night, but if it's not high quality sleep, if it's not good sleep, then chances are you're still not going to be cognitively on the mark because your sleep is bad. So for optimal brain health, I want you to really stop and think, what is my sleep pattern like? What are my sleep habits like? Let's start with that for healthy brains. Start with good sleep. Now, you may say, okay, well, I just don't get good sleep. I want you to think about, what are the things that you do surrounding your sleep period, or the time that you're supposed to be at sleep. There are several things that the average person does that is actually counterproductive to having a good sleep or a deep, healthy sleep. One of those, so let's just go through some of these. Eating late at night. Start with your evening before. Be cautious about how late you eat when it comes to your bedtime. So let's say that you turn in between 9 and 10 o'clock in the evening. But you may say, well, Julie, that's way too early. I don't go to sleep until 11 or midnight. Well, let's just hypothesize that you get to sleep by 10 o'clock in the evening. You really don't want to have anything on your stomach 3 hours before. You want to give your digestive system time to digest its food before you go to sleep, because your sleep is for something completely different. Sleep is not the time for your body to digest. Sleep is the time for your body and your brain to heal, for your body and your brain to detox. All right, so if you're eating too late in the evening before you go to bed, that's going to take energy away from a good, healthy sleep. So do your best to not have heavy foods or much to eat in those 2 to 3 hours before your head actually hits the pillow. Okay, that's tip number one. Tip number two is that you want to make sure that you watch your alcohol consumption. Now, I know there's a lot of people that enjoy that evening cocktail or that evening drink for relaxation. Well, depending on the amount of sugar that is in that, or even the amount of caffeines that may be in a particular drink, your drink of choice, it may actually cause you to wake up a few hours later, to disturb your natural sleep pattern. Or if you're drinking too much, just fluids, period, within the hour or two before you go to bed, your sleep might be disturbed by having to get up and relieve yourself during the night, right? Having to get up and go to the bathroom. So you want to be careful again with that, how much you drink, whether it's alcohol or even just fluids, period, what it is and what effect that might have on disrupting your sleep pattern. Okay, so eating, drinking. Right? The next is technology. Technology. Now, I'm not saying that you can't relax with watching your favorite show. A lot of people do that. They kind of enjoy that relaxation with just zoning out in front of the television before they go to sleep. I'm not saying that's bad. However, be cautious about doing it on a tablet or a phone. Here's what happens. There is this great little thing behind your eyes called or right about here in the brain, called the pineal gland. And that is responsible for secreting melatonin. Now, melatonin is what naturally causes your body to begin to relax, to go into a deeper sleep. It is set up, so it is designed so that when it starts to get dark outside, when the room begins to get dark, the brain gets this signal, this gland, that the light going in through the eyes begins to dim. That gland goes, oh, it's getting late. I need to start secreting melatonin so my person can get tired and get ready and just fall into a deep, wonderful sleep. Here's the problem. If you have within, about 12 inches of your eyes, a foot to even up to 2 feet of your eyes, you have bright light coming in, your brain, the pineal gland, does not begin to secrete the melatonin because there's too much direct light going in. So do not, if you can, don't be on this for a good hour before you go to sleep. Now you may say, oh my goodness, that's hard. And I got to tell you, I'm guilty as charged. There are a lot of times when I'm just kind of sitting there going, oh, I'm playing this fun little Disney game. For those of you who haven't figured it out, I'm a little bit of a Disney person. On my phone or my tablet. I don't do it a ton, but it is a kind of the mind numbing rundown in the evening type of a thing. But then again, I don't have a problem falling asleep most nights. Still, this is not a good thing. So what I have chosen to start to do is plug it in a good 30 minutes, hour before I'm ready to go put my head on the pillow, and keep it away from my directly into my brain. It also, depending on what you're doing, I'm going to do a podcast in the future about the subconscious programming that doing this on I probably shouldn't say it, but on some of these social media apps, what that actually what effect that has on your brain and psychologically. So we'll talk about that on a different one. But you don't want to be doing that right before you go to bed, because again, it's going to have the brain in a different. It's going to make it difficult for the brain to let go and release and relax and go to sleep. A couple of other things you want to think about is the temperature in the room. You actually want it down below 70, closer to 60. Your brain your body, when you go into sleep, you kind of want your body to almost go into a light hibernation, if you will. You want for the brain to be able to focus on all of the work that it has to do, your body to focus on all of the work that it has to do, the defragging, the detoxing, the committing those memories, the short-term memories to long-term memories. You want all that focus to be on what it's supposed to do during the night, not be disrupted by the temperature in the room. Now, for a lot of women, once you get to my age, full transparency, I will be 58 at the end of the week. So I'm getting up there, but a lot of women at this stage of the life are in that perimenopausal state. Their cycle, their brain cycle kind of changes, and it makes it much more difficult to get good sleep. Hormone imbalances will cause you, of course, to have those warm nights or those warm sleep wake up periods. So if you are in that period and you are a woman, I would have your hormones checked, right, to see that your hormones are good and healthy and level. Get them straightened out, because that's going to help your sleep as well. So cool, you want it cool. You also want it as dark as possible. Now, I already talked about why you want to keep this away from your eyes, right? Is because of the light. When it is, the darker it is, the more melatonin that the brain is going to, the healthier your melatonin cycle is going to be produced. So keep it as dark as possible in the room. Dark and cool is what you want in the room. And if you need to get up and use the facilities during the middle of the night, I highly suggest you don't turn on the big lights. Right? Put those little socket lights in that are motion censored, that will give you just enough light so that you don't trip over the dog and break your head open, right? But just, try to keep it so that it's as dark as possible, but you can still see your way. Because if you put too much light, what happens is, as soon as that light hits your pineal gland, as soon as that light starts penetrating the eyes and it's bright, instantly the pineal gland responds and stops or slows the secretion of melatonin, which makes it harder to fall back asleep. This is one of the things where a lot of people, I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, well, I'm wide awake at 3:30 or I'm wide awake at 4 o'clock and I just lay there for an hour. Now let's talk about what's triggering that and where adjustments might be made. But one of the last thing you want to do is actually turn on a large light and to walk into another room or to go get a drink of water or something in the kitchen. You don't want to be doing that because that's going to just perpetuate that break in your sleep. Okay, so those are some big keys, some big tips on how to improve the quality of your sleep, because that's the best thing that you can do to improve your brain health. It's so critically important, so important. So work on that. Now, once you have that down, then you're going to be more alert, you're going to be more focused in the day following, and therefore you're going to be able to do things like exercise. Exercise and water are tied for the second top tip. So sleep is number one, exercise and water are 2 and 2. I can't really put one in front of the other because they are both so incredibly important. If you're exercising, you're probably going to drink more water, but you want to be sure exercise a good 30 to 45 minutes of cardiovascular every single day. Now, when I say cardiovascular, I don't exercise. I don't mean like HIIT classes where you are just, your heart rate's pushing 100% or whatever, but way up to the 80. It doesn't necessarily have to be that hard of a workout, but you do want it to be the type of a workout, the type of a cardiovascular workout that's steady for 30 to 45 minutes. You're having a hard time talking, right? It would be difficult for you to carry on a conversation because you are working at that max. And the reason there's just more studies than I could even begin to list that touch on the importance or the benefits of exercise across the board for pretty much every single part, for your mind health, which we'll talk about that on a future podcast, but your brain health specifically. It increases the circulation, it increases the brain's ability to detoxify, it increases the neural connections, especially if you throw some fun stuff in there, right? Throw in some coordination type exercises. Do some line dancing. I've recently, added into my program just doing some good old fashioned, Cupid shuffle or some kind of, fun, the electric slide. I don't care. Just some fun types of dances that it's going to raise your heart rate. It's going to get that heart rate up. It's going to give you the cardiovascular benefit. It's going to be to music. Music is very, very good for the brain and for the mind. And it's going to give you the patterns that you have to think about. When you have to think about your exercise moves, you're actually engaging larger portions of the brain. And therefore, it's even that much more. It's even healthier for the brain than just the, standard elliptical, which is what I normally do, right? Which is good, but it can be better. One of my mentors, Dr.Amen of Amen Clinics, he suggests table tennis, tennis or table tennis, because it's so active and it's so coordinated, and you have to think so much, and you have to follow the ball, and you have to make, there's just so much to it. Certain studies have shown, one of the most famous longevity studies said that the individuals who had the lowest risk of Alzheimer's, and this was like a 20-year study, so it's one of the big ones that they did, and it was in, I believe it was Switzerland, maybe it was Sweden, I can't remember which one, I'd have to look it up. If you want to know, email me, info@brainladyspeaker.com, and I'll try to find it for you. It's in my notes somewhere. But what they discovered was that couples dancing, when you had to do couples dancing, like ballroom dancing type dances, those individuals were at 70% lower risk of degenerative brain diseases, which I thought was fascinating. Which there's a couple of reasons for that. It's not just the brain activity, but it's also a social thing, which we'll discuss under the Mind Health podcast. But for this one, we're focusing mostly on the brain health. Those are some of my big tips. Sleep, exercise. We're getting close to that 25-minute mark, so I want to keep it there. But sleep, exercise, and then, like I said, tying for exercise is your hydration. Our bodies, our brain is 80% water. right? So we want to make sure that we're hydrated. Just a 2% drop in body water, which is or in hydration, which most people don't even, the thirst mechanism hasn't even kicked into gear yet. At 2%, you have trouble focusing on a computer screen. You have trouble reading the written word. You have difficulty doing basic math problems, spelling, English language, things like that. I shouldn't say English, just language, period. So very basic functions are interrupted or slowed down by just a 2% drop in your hydration. So hydration is incredibly important, not just for your cognitive thinking, but also for your detoxification, right? If you are doing things like exercising and getting good sleep, you have to drink your water to get those toxins out of your body. So hydration is, like I said, it's tied with number 2 for my top tips on brain health. There's obviously a lot of other things. There is eating good, adding in the good, eliminating the bad. All right, so more of your brightly colored fruits and vegetables. Berries are amazing. Blueberries are probably your best. Get your blueberries, your blackberries, your raspberries, your acai berries, your acai berries, sorry, your strawberries. All of those are really good. Make sure you're getting those. Your vegetables that are dark. The darker the color, the better. For example, if you look at something like lettuce, your iceberg lettuce really is mostly just water. It's not, doesn't have a huge nutritional value, but if you go to your darker leafy greens like spinach or kale, they're very high in vitamins. So the darker you can get in there, or the brighter you can get in those colors, very, very healthy for the body. Get more of those in there. Get your supplements, your fish oil supplements, your L-theanine is excellent for the brain. Get in the things that are good. Eliminate altogether or greatly reduce if you possibly can. I'm all about practicality. If you engage with me as a coach or a consultant, I am going to tell you I would rather have you be practical than shoot for the extreme and never really hit that mark and just walk away from the entire endeavor, because it's just too much for you, right? You can't freak your brain out. You can't kick in the stress hormones by simply saying, I'm never going to be able to eat this or do that. I don't necessarily want that. I want you to eliminate as much as possible. Try to get out as many sugars as you can. Try to get out as many preservatives, artificials. Get as many of those out of your diet. I have a couple of pet peeves that I'll discuss on a future program. If you want to know what those are, let me know. Send me an email or comment in the channel, right? That you want me to tell you my pet peeves, that I think everybody should eliminate 100%. But really, it's shooting for reducing the bad and increasing the good. And it begins to kind of like, the more you increase the good, the more the bad goes down, right? Because you only have so much volume. So increase the good, decrease the bad. Exercise, drink your water, and above all, get your sleep. Those are the keys for the first pillar that I always teach my clients, and that is brain health. Because if you, as a business coach, as a leadership coach, as a corporate trainer, if you don't have that first piece in place, the rest of the pieces are going to suffer. If you don't have the pillar of brain health in place, your mind, your thinking's going to suffer, your relationships are going to suffer, and your career or your business, whether you're an entrepreneur or you have chosen the career path, that's going to suffer. So take a look at what you're doing. Do some evaluation in your life. I encourage you, if you have any questions, of course, shoot me an email, info@brainladyspeaker.com. It is Brain Lady Speaker, not Brain Lady Speaks, even though the show is Brain Lady Speaks. Shoot me an email at info@brainladyspeaker.com and let me know what your questions are. If you have a thought, if you have a topic that you think might be in my area of expertise and you want to see covered on the Brain Lady Speaks show, then by all means, shoot that. Give me that information. Give me that suggestion, or put it in the comments here on the YouTube channel once this gets posted up on YouTube. Also, if you have maybe you have a book you've read, or another leadership coach or business coach or brain coach, or someone that you think, mindset coach, that you think would be a great interview on the Brain Lady Speaks, send me an email on that as well. I would love to hear from you if you have any questions or suggestions or otherwise. All right. Do me a favor, do me a little bit of favor, If you liked this content, if you felt it was beneficial, give me a thumbs up, write me a positive comment or a positive review on iTunes or iHeart, wherever you're listening to this later. Comment on the YouTube channel, and give me that thumbs up and that follow and subscribe to the channel, and share it out, right? Share it out to social media. This is information that for some people can really be life changing. So if you feel it was good content, then share it out. I would appreciate it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for this episode of the Brain Lady Speaks. I am very happy and honored that you spent the time with me. And as you know, if you are a follower of the show, as you know, I always like to end each show by telling you to go out there, take a nice deep breath of fresh air, and simply enjoy every moment.